Namaskaram, everyone. Keeping in mind of the location of Shivaratri tomorrow, I thought it is auspicious for us to spend a few moments on understanding the significance of Lord Shiva and the various symbolic representation associated with the Lord. It just seems apt, though we are very familiar with the philosophy or the concept that surrounds it. It just perhaps lifts our understanding when we are able to relate with the symbolic representation and the understanding. Now, firstly, Lord Shiva is one of the gods of Trinity, as we all understand. The gods of Trinity, the three gods, Lord Brahma, the Lord of creation, Lord Shiva, the Lord of destruction, and Lord Vishnu is a Lord of maintenance. So the three lords, the Lord of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, refers to the three manifested powers. These are the three powers that are manifested in the world. We can call them the powers of nature. So when you look at nature, you find these three predominant powers that are manifesting, which is creation and destruction. So there is this constant creation happening, and the creation only means there is a destruction of something. And this process of creation and destruction maintains and sustains life. So creation and destruction are actually two sides of the same coin. And this creation and destruction are an integral part to maintain the world that we're living in. And we actually experience this creation and destruction happening right through our lives. There seems to be a power that controls and sustains and maintains the entire balance of life. We don't know how it happens, but it seems to happen. So firstly, what we must understand, we should never complain at something that is, if there is a destruction or end, or if there is an inevitable end to something in life, we should not complain, because that's all the play of nature. Now, so when you relate the gods of creation, maintenance, and destruction, which is related to the world, you will understand these are the powers symbolizing the manifested powers of the reality in the world. These are divinizing the manifestations of Brahman in the world. So Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Brahma are the manifested powers of Brahman. Brahman represents the transcendental reality. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, these three are the powers that are manifesting in the world. Just to understand and appreciate and respect these laws which govern our lives, they have divinized these powers. They have given it an identity, a personality, an aura, a divine significance, so that you learn to respect and bow down to them. But these three powers are the manifestation of the unmanifest God, which is Brahman. So don't mistake Brahman to be Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is only the creator of the world. Brahman is the unmanifest reality. And just to also go, they went, these masters, these great thinkers of the Vedic times, they went one step ahead. They tried to capture these three powers in one form. So what they did, they brought Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu together in one form, and they have created another deity, another god. And that god is Lord Dattatreya. Lord Dattatreya is a Lord who has the faces of all the three gods. So a god which has the faces of Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. Another typical way of identifying Lord Dattatreya is you always find there are 4 dogs that follow him. It's very symbolic, though. The 4 dogs that follow him refers to the 4 Vedas. The 4 Vedas followed him, which means whatever they did, whatever standards he set, was already enjoined by the scriptures, the Shastras. Today we are trying to understand the Shastras and abide by them. But once you reach perfection, whatever you do is sanctioned by the Shastras. It becomes the Shastras. It becomes authority. In that sense, the 4 dogs following him represented that. I'm just going through a brief overview of few aspects. Now, moving further, Goddess Uma, the consort of Lord Shiva. Uma represents matter. Uma, Goddess Uma, Parvati represents matter, and the nature of matter is perishable. So the god of destruction manifesting itself in the world as the perishable matter is the union between Shiva and Goddess Uma. Right? And moving further, see, Vijay Raghavanji, you didn't follow something there?
I didn't get the concept, Guruji. Pranam.
Yes. The union of Lord Shiva and Uma Parvati, matter, the characteristic, one is the matter, the characteristics of matter is perishable. So the manifestation of Lord Shiva functioning through Uma is perishable matter. That is the union of Lord Shiva and Parvati. Because matter is perishable, so destruction manifests itself with matter. That is the Lord functioning through Uma. It is the power of the Lord functioning through the matter. The matter is Uma. You get the connection. That's a symbolic representation. So there's nothing wrong in destruction when destruction only is way for regeneration, for creation. The process of death gives way to birth, and the cycle of death and birth maintains life. So don't complain at death, don't complain at birth. Yes, Hariji.
When we consider Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, can we consider these devas as finite? That they have also a beginning and end?
No. Don't. In fact, Lord Shiva itself, as I've said, is referring to the manifested powers of Just a minute, hold on, Ji. Suddenly something popped up and said it wants me to quit Zoom. So I don't know whether I have to respect the destruction or I have to, so I need to
We will
make that.
maintain. We will maintain.
No, if I say yes, that will be the destruction of the Zoom class. You want me to go ahead?
No. We will
maintain. I need to make that choice. 1 minute. Am I still there?
Yeah.
Thank God. So literally, Lord Shiva was functioning.
Good.
Yes, sir. So what I was saying is, these, in fact, please remember the concept. There is only one God. So whenever the Shastras use the word, whenever the Upanishads, whenever the Vedas talk of one God, Brahman, which is the reality, the consciousness. But whenever you're talking of plurality, whenever devas or gods, these are the manifested powers of that one unknown God. Yeah. So don't mistake gods to be the God.
No.
The gods are the idols. God is the ideal. Yeah. So the gods are representing the ideal, which is the Brahman, which is the goal of every human endeavor, which is to attain realization. So we should not get lost in the multitude of these gods and goddesses. Yeah. But we must understand what they symbolize and what they are conveying. Why you see Lord Shiva always seated in a meditative posture? What does it attain? What does it convey? It conveys that the Lord is trying to attain that transcendental reality of realization. Because Lord Shiva is also a picturization of the manifested power of the world. And the perfection is attained only when you get to realization. And you get to realization through meditation. So Lord Shiva being seated in the Mount Kailash, which is symbolic again, referring to the snow-capped mountain, symbolizing the purity. Whenever something is white, symbolizes the pure mental state he had attained in order to meditate. And having attained that meditation, he actually celebrated that joy or ecstasy of realization. And that is known as the Tandava, which the Lord Shiva dances with joy, with ecstasy, because he's not able to contain the joy of realization. And that form of the dancing Lord Shiva is known as Nataraja. So we need to keep all of this in its right perspective. Otherwise, we will be the most confused lots. The Hindus will be the most confused because we don't know where we're going. Why these so many gods? What is going on? There are so many aspects to it which if we don't rationalize it, it can be a lot of confusion to deal with. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Hariji.
Now, my question, I asked that question because since Brahma and Shiva and Vishnu are devas, they are not Brahman. So, will they come under the finite category? Because Brahman is infinite.
So don't go about saying this, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow you go and say this outside, you might be in trouble. So for your safety and my safety, we will not put it so explicitly.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, I understand.
What we are getting at is, as we said, these are representations of the manifested powers.
Yeah, I got it. I got you.
Why you want to why do you want to get me into trouble?
Yeah, I got it.
No.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm just kidding. You got the message, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I got the message. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Badriji.
I don't know whether I'll get all of us into more trouble, but from what I have understood, there is this transcendental reality which we gave the name of Brahman, and that is the only reality, and there is no other reality. Now, the human mind has perceived that in the manifested world, all these three forces are at play that you mentioned, creation, destruction, and maintenance.
Yes.
So the human mind has symbolized these through those forms,
Yes.
and therefore all the gods are actually the creations of a devout human mind, which is bowing down to the one supreme reality, which is Brahman, but giving them forms so that you can focus on certain aspects of what you consider to be the the manifested manifestation of that supreme reality. So which is why we have so many forms, okay? Because as the human mind seeks, so it's like Ishta Devata concept. Everybody seeks comfort in a certain aspect of the manifested certain aspect of manifestation, and therefore creates a Ishta Devata which succeeding generations start to worship. Okay, so that is my understanding of how this multitude, but ultimately, if you really rationalize it, there are these three fundamental powers, and that's why over centuries, it is these three gods which have become prominent. In fact, in the Vedic age, from what I understand, there were many more gods, and in fact, these three gods did not figure much in the Vedic age. But over a period of time, it is these gods which, because if you really rationalize through the intellect, these are the three fundamental manifested powers, whether it is our own biological lives or whether it is inert matter like stars and all. They also get destroyed. They also get created. Okay, everything gets created and destroyed. So, and in between creation and destruction, they stay. So there is a maintenance aspect to it. So there is really nothing else, and it's our mind which has given them those attributes. Like Vishnu has blue color and 4 arms, and is resting on a serpent, and Shiva is on Mount Kailasha, and he's the Adi Yogi. And as you said, that it represents the aspiration to reach Brahman through meditation. So I'm sorry that I'm going on and on, but that's my understanding. And therefore, if you really look at it very honestly and clearly, they're all our creation for our understanding. Okay, but they all point towards Brahman.
I wouldn't edit any word of what you said. You are 100% right. This is what is the masterminds of the great thinkers of yore, and this is what they've done. But when you take a devotional angle without much reason and rationality, you have a different approach to it, isn't it? You give it a certainty, you magnify it beyond a point, and then you personify that to be the reality, which is not. So these are all symbols reminding us of the nirguna. In fact, as Rajima rightly said, Saguna, these are all gods have got attributes. So anything with an attribute is trying to represent that attributeless reality. Because you can't conceive anything without an attribute. As simple as that. It's just simple logic. So it is the onus of gurus to do justice to what has been laid down, rather than misleading them, rather than overwhelming them with this culture and tradition and personality inundation. It's a sheer personality inundation, and almost abusing the the devotion and respect we have for what our culture has introduced to us. But if you get the thinking straight, he said, you use these as tools, as rightful tools. I'm not ridiculing them, please, not at all, by any means, no. We understand that we have a great divine role in our lives to uplift us right up to realization.
In fact, they play a very important role because this whole aspect of bhakti and saguna aspect of divinity leads to art and music and all that. So you can't really have music on Brahman. It's very difficult to have attributeless nirguna. There's only so much you can sing to nirguna. Whereas if you have saguna, then you can produce all this. So you can't have Tyagaraja without gunas. His music, I mean. And
absolutely.
So therefore, they serve a significant purpose in the world of art and music and architecture and in all religions. Yeah.
Yes, all religions, all religions. You are in full form, Badriji, today. It's like you're scoring a century today, No, very true, very true. In fact, and spiritual journey is devotion and intellection hand in hand. It's not neither or, it's not all exclusive, it is both inclusive. So you must have intellection and devotion to serve you in the journey. Okay. Now, Sai has decided to get me into deeper trouble. He's asking, but sir, Rama was born, right? Krishna also was born, right? They are not just symbols, no? I can feel the sentiment in the question. So adalla added masala is because I know Sai very well. Enna Sai, correct?
Right, sir. Correct.
Right. See, let's purely take it from an intellectual perspective. You and I know that there are these two great epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana was written by the great who? Who wrote Ramayana? Sai, why do you have you unmuted yourself? Muted yourself, rather. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, Valmiki. Sorry.
The great sage Rishi Valmiki wrote Ramayana. The great sage Vyasa wrote Mahabharata. Now, these were stories, great epics. Now, there are two possibilities. It's either possible that these two great sages have actually captured something which has happened in history prior to them, and just captured to convey a message to remind of what has happened. Or it is a pure figment of their imagination that they had to spin a story to convey a message to humanity. These two possibilities. Now, I can't sit in judgment and say which is right, which is wrong. It's just for us to rationalize it. So if it was that these characters like Lord Rama and Krishna actually existed in history, then these men were part of history. But if you think it is, the greatness of a sage and saint is not just to merely capture what was said in history to tell to mankind, which mankind already knew. These men like the great Vyasa and Valmiki, these men appear as the great Saptarishis. The greatest of ever sages ever, in the list of great sages and saints, these two men appear in that. So you and I perhaps can tell something which is being said, but not these great caliber people. It's like how do parents, how do educators educate a child? You want to convey a message, don't you spin a story? So they just spun a story, and Lord Rama and Krishna were center characters of the place which they spun to convey a message to mankind. And they did such a magnificent job. Generations later, people actually believed that they were characters in history. Now here we're not sitting in judgment saying they don't exist. I'm only saying it is a possibility that they could be mere figments of imaginations of the great sage Vyasa and the great sage Valmiki. And my prostrations to, I know Valmiki existed, I know Vyasa existed. I do not know the existence of Lord Rama and Krishna. But devotional angle you take, you will say, how can you say that, sir? Intellectual angle you say, you will start rationalizing and put things in its perspective. But we're not to doubt or dislodge devotion. It's just to, it's healthy to have both these perspectives so that you have a wholesome understanding as to what it is. Again, what is the objective of a celebrity or a personality in your life? Is just to emulate the values they lived by, isn't it? Is not to create posters and idols and start getting held on to them, isn't it? Is only to emulate what life they lived. If you want to live a life, you should try to emulate the life of Lord Rama. If you want to achieve perfection, follow the teachings of Lord Krishna. Don't follow the life of Lord Krishna. Sai.
Yes.
You follow the life of Lord Krishna, you're in trouble. Then people will come to the teacher who's teaching you. If you all start doing, because life of Lord Krishna is right from childhood till all his days, he was full of mischief. Then you will be known mischief Sai. So if you want to attain perfection, I repeat, you follow the life of Lord Rama, you follow the teachings of Lord Krishna. Again, even here we are trying to use our intellect and be discreet, isn't it? It's not just blindly getting overwhelmed by anything out there. So don't be sold to anything that is said or that which is marketed or that is perceived to be right. I wouldn't be sold by anything. I would try to make sense, convinced by logic and reason, full of devotion and surrender. Application of both these elements helps you in your progression. I think this is the right way of approaching anything in religion. Don't take because anybody said so. Just because anybody has said it doesn't make it any more real, isn't it? Just because it's thousands of years old doesn't mean it's real. Just because it's practiced by many doesn't make it any more real. So on and so forth. Okay? Yeah, Vijayji, you want to say something?
Guruji, I was thinking, I mean, concentrating on, without concentrating on the content or what exactly they want to convey, getting more into the process of it and the validity of the process of it will be just like our concentrating on the rituals and not, I mean, going away and away from the real things which they represent.
Correct.
I mean, if we have multitudes of rituals, it's all because of every person over generations, every philosopher or even a religious head keeps inventing new way of focusing, helping people to focus on certain aspects of, that with all good intentions, perhaps. So that becomes another school of thought, another becomes a branch of rituals, and a new set of rituals start. And at the end of the day, there are so many different roads to reach the whole thing. And then the attention gets taken away from the real symbolism.
Mm. You're absolutely right, Ji. You're very right. Okay. Very true. Very true. Just a few more elements I wanted to highlight. One of the obvious things you notice is Lord Shiva has half eyes closed and half eyes open. If I'm not wrong, is only deity or the Lord or the God or goddess who is portrayed that way. RPG, it looks like you're almost capturing that concept.
That pose?
Yeah, half eyes closed, half eyes open.
Pose? Yeah, I live my life like that, Guruji.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Always half meditating on the self and half on the world.
But I'm little underdressed looking at you. I don't know why. I tell you, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Huh? You're taking it to a new level, huh, Arpitji?
No, this is the normal level in the office.
The bow tie, you know, is not a normal level.
No, it's not.
So there's a special occasion this evening, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, I enjoy wearing a good bow tie every now and again. So.
That's nice. Send across one to me. I'll also try on the uniform. I don't know how it will look good, but I'll try.
I'll send you the bow tie and instructions on how to tie it.
Please, not without the instructions though. Huh?
Yeah,
then I don't know.
It's 4 animals.
4 animals?
Yeah. Parrot, fish, no, elephant, fish, and pick your burrowing whatever animal you want, groundhog or...
Sorry, what do they convey? I'm lost, sorry.
I'll send the video.
Okay, please do.
All right.
Yeah. So what do half eyes closed, half eyes open?
Yeah, so that's my sense of it. I don't know the answer, but that sense of you're always half your focus is on the self in that, and then half on the world, the things that you need to accomplish. I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's my understanding and appreciation of that situation.
Symbolism. Okay.
Symbolism.
All right. You're not far from it. Yes. Anybody wants to attempt? Half eyes closed, half eyes open. Gayatri Ma, any idea?
I also presume that it is meditation, and although we are looking at the world, we still have to be focused on the inside ourselves, within ourselves, that is closed eyes.
Okay, no, I don't think so. Never mind. No. Good try. Anybody else? Rajima?
I would repeat what Gayatri Ma has said, Guruji. Nothing more to add to it. Similar understanding.
Okay. Anybody else? Padmini Ma?
My answer will look like a mysterious answer. Lord Shiva wants to know what is happening outside. So he just keeps his half eye.
Peeping, almost peeping.
Yeah. Maybe you should. At the same time, otherwise, how will you know? For a common man.
Yeah. A good guess, I must say. Huh? Good, mischievous guess. Ushama. Introverted and extroverted. That's what she said.
Is it, Namaste Guruji? Is it the
yes
being introverted while being extroverted? Is that so? Something similar to what Gayatri Ma or
introverted and extroverted. Okay. Yeah, you're putting in your own way, in your own language.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But in fact, the concept is very familiar to you all. That's all I will say. Very, very familiar. Okay. Badriji?
I think it represents the gross world and in a subtle world that we live in, and the half open eye represents the gross universe, the universe of perception, and the half shut represents the subtle. I think this is what others have also said in different ways, but I think I'm saying almost the same thing.
All right. Mm-hmm. No, in fact, if you see the other side of it, when your eyes are completely shut, that's when you are sleeping. Yes, Hariji, you want to say something?
I meant that it is not, it is important that we should not run away from the world. We have to be in the world. Even when we are meditating, running away is not a solution. So we have to be in the market and find peace in unpeaceful condition.
You're right. In fact, you've got fairly close to the concept, but it is not symbolizing a state of meditation. It is symbolizing a state of detachment or an attitude of detachment.
Yes.
So to understand that, tamas is a state where your eyes are completely closed. When you are in sleep, when your eyes are completely shut, you're cut off from the world, you're disconnected from the world. That's tamas. In sloth, in sleep, in ignorance, is tamas. And when are your eyes completely open? Arpiji, when are your eyes, what do you call, what's the right term for that?
I mean, I guess open, right? Completely open when you're.
No. It's almost like, like you are attracted to something.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. What that kind of a thing. What's that expression for that?
Fascination, exhilaration.
You get, it's a temptation, or you are attracted to something and something beautiful out there. Wow, look at that. So eyes are fully open, which symbolizes passion, rajas, attraction. You're swayed by the extrovertedness. It is involvement. So tamas is disinterested in something. Rajas is too interested or too carried away with something. Now, these great men didn't know how to convey sattva. What is sattva? Sattva is a state of disinterested interest. So they had to bring out sattva as half eyes closed, half eyes open. Many interpretations were floating. They thought Lord Shiva must have had a little bit of more somaras, therefore his half eyes closed, half eyes open. So all that also are there in the circles, but I will disregard all that. It's not because he had an extra dose of somaras. It's only to convey that spirit of detachment, where, as Hariji was saying, you are participative in your half eyes open, suggesting you have to play your roles, you have to be obliged to your own duties and responsibilities. But how do you play them? With total disinterest in the fruits. You're totally detached to them. Why? Because you're closed means you're interested in the higher goals of life. You just do them as a means to an end. I have to play my dharma, isn't it? So that's what half eyes closed, half eyes open means. I don't think any other deity or gods can convey this, isn't it? So it's very, very unique to Lord Shiva. I think it's also that this posture of Lord Shiva is known as Samabhava Mudra. That Samabhava means that sense of balance or equanimity, or a measure where he is totally detached from it. That half eyes closed is known as Samabhava Mudra. Okay. And also what you find unique with Lord Shiva is the third eye. The third eye is known as the Jnana Chakshu, the famous symbolic concept. The concept of the eye of wisdom is symbolized by the third eye of Lord Shiva. What does the third eye of Lord Shiva mean? What does the Jnana Chakshu mean? Is when you gain a different perception to life. The perception of wisdom. You have the divine vision. Don't go about asking, Google searching, oh, where is this shop called Divine Vision? Oh, they may be having maybe different kind of spectacles. Your perception becomes clearer, or your crystal clear perception. It's not a spectacle store by any means, please. Divine Vision or Vedanta Vision. It's not like a store you keep. It's not like a spectacle store. It's the third eye symbolizes the perception you gain to life from a divine angle. Another beautiful element of Lord Shiva is the Ganges in the matted lock. Isn't it? Lord Shiva had the Ganga Dhara. He was a carrier of the Ganga in his locks. You all know the story of Akasha Ganga. He prayed to the goddess so that the goddess Ganges comes to heaven earth to purify the earth. But the story goes, Ganga said, I am so strong, I'm so powerful that I might bore a hole through the earth and go out through the other end. So I'm willing to come because you have pleased me and it's my duty to fulfill whatever you want. But you must have a patra. Patra is someone worthy of receiving it. So Ganga represents the transcendental reality. It's the heavenly knowledge. So the heavenly knowledge, if you want to receive the heavenly knowledge, you must be worthy of receiving. Who is and what's that Sanskrit word of worthy of receiving? Harish ji, that Sanskrit word, you must be worthy of receiving. You must have the patra. Harish ji.
I'm sorry, Guruji, I don't know.
The familiar word. We keep using in our...
A good student.
Sanskrit word, I'm saying. Is known as Rajima?
Adhikari, Guruji.
You must be an adhikari. And an adhikari is one who is deserving, worthy of be able to receive this heavenly knowledge. So then the story goes, Bhagirath asked Ganga, Ma, you only tell me who is worthy of receiving you. Then she said, Lord Shiva is the only person worthy of receiving. There's nobody else worthy of receiving me. Then the story goes, he worships, does great penance to please Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva appears and says, what do you want? Oh Lord, so I'm glad you have appeared. I plead you to please receive the Ganges. But he didn't communicate himself well. The Lord accepted, disappeared. One week passed, 1 month passed, 2 months passed. Where's the Ganges? Nowhere to be seen. And it was so difficult to get appointment with Lord Shiva. Again, he did penance for years to appease Lord Shiva for the Lord to appear. Again, Lord appeared and said, now what, man? Oh Lord, sorry disturbing you, but where's the Ganges? You told me to receive the Ganges. I received it. So sorry, sir. It is not for you to receive and keep with you. Please release it to us. We want in the earth. Oh, is it so? And then he just moved his hair a little bit like this. For a few strands of hair, he pushed. He just gave way, and then he let loose. And that is the mighty Ganges that is flowing down the plains from the Himalayan mountains into the valleys. And he also had, you must have that much wisdom that the knowledge doesn't enter your head and develop. What's the first expression of knowledge? Tinkima, what is the first expression of knowledge? You have to, could you unmute yourself, please? We can't hear you, Ma.
Arrogance.
Correct. The first level of knowledge is arrogance. And when you have lots of knowledge, what will happen?
Ego, arrogance, I know it all. I don't need to know anything more.
Correct. And Shiva had to contain all that knowledge and yet have no arrogance. And that is what it also means. You must be an adhikari, a man of wisdom.
So if he could contain the whole thing and yet have no arrogance, but then he had to release it. So symbolically, what does that mean? Like for us as yogis who are started on the spiritual path, we keep trying to gain that knowledge, and hopefully at some point we are trying to convert it into wisdom. So that releasing symbolizes what?
The onus is, sorry, Ma?
Yeah, so what does the releasing of the Ganges or that knowledge symbolize?
A man of wisdom. The onus is on a man of wisdom to give it in doses so that a guru allows the process of knowledge conversion into wisdom. It is the responsibility of a man of wisdom to ensure the process of conversion of jnanam into vijnanam. And how that is ensured is to give you the knowledge in doses, in trickles. And that is the methodology in a way we follow here, is not to rush through the text to inundate you with knowledge and information, but to help you all process it, help you all understand and relate to it in a language it makes sense to you, to bring it out from you, help you think, question, rationalize it, interact with the knowledge. And this is the process. The onus is on the teacher. In the context here, Lord Shiva had to ensure that the knowledge is always given is always measured and given, not poured onto a student, because it may not serve the purpose at all. So therefore, whenever you receive this knowledge, you must be very careful. You must take in doses. It's like when you're feeding a child or an elderly person, are you not careful of, you give little morsel, they're not able to chew, you give it in small proportions, isn't it? So that it must be taken care. That care taken is symbolized by Lord Shiva releasing the Ganges and trickles to facilitate the conversion of knowledge into wisdom. So even when you are receiving knowledge, don't go overboard with information. The proportion, we often said in the classes, what's the proportion of knowledge and reflection? Who remembers that? Gayatri Ma, what did we say earlier in the classes we established? The proportion of knowledge to reflection?
80% reflection and 20% knowledge.
So you must do 80% reflection to the 20% knowledge you received. And that 80-20 or 70-30 helps you to reach the desired goal of attaining wisdom, which is symbolized by a third eye, which you and I put a tilak on our forehead, which is to attain that wisdom, to gain that perception, that divine vision. But if this proportion is not there, you will gain knowledge, and what comes along with this ahankar, you will not get wisdom. So you've got to be very, very careful. It's a very fine percentage. It's a very fine balance. And that's what that releasing the Ganges and trickles mean. Right. And lastly, every god or a goddess is always seen with what? Don't say, I have not seen any, don't answer that way. Huh? Whenever you've seen any portrait or even a vigraha, Harishi, what do you see? Harishi is not his normal self today. He's reached a state of Lord Shiva with his eyes fully open. He's Difficult to understand though, we understand that. Can you repeat the question, sir?
I'm sorry, Guruji, no.
No problem, sir. Vijayji, what am I asking?
When you see the pictures or idols of all the goddesses, what is the common thing which we see?
What's the most common thing?
Yeah.
Yes. There may be many things, but at least you have to many things that's common.
That's fair. I mean, whatever I say should make some sense. It should stand for something. That's why I'm thinking. I haven't been able to find out yet.
Yeah. See, as somebody has, I don't think the blessing, Harishji, even though that is a common thing there, yes, they do keep bless us. But the common thing we find is you find these gods and goddesses always hold on to some kind of weapon of destruction. Either be it Lord Rama holds. NSI, what does Lord Rama hold?
Bow, sir. Bow and arrow.
Lord Rama holds a bow and arrow. Lord Krishna holds?
Panchajanya. I mean the Sudarshan Chakra.
The chakra, sorry. The disc. The disc. And what does Lord Shiva hold?
Trishul.
The Trishul. So why do they hold weapon of destruction?
To kill, I mean to end the bad, the external or internal.
Symbolizing the destruction of evil or destruction of negativity. So Lord Shiva holding Trishul with a three-pronged weapon. No? It has three, whatever you call that, the Trishul has a three. Is symbolized to destroy the ego and the desires and attachments manifesting at three layers of the personality: physical, mental, intellectual. So the weapon of destruction, destroying the negativity, symbolizing the attainment of realization through meditation, and the ecstasy which Lord Shiva couldn't contain, the intoxication of bliss, symbolizing the thrill of realization, which I said is known as Tandava, is that state of Lord Nataraja, is the occasion of celebrating the Mahashivaratri, is the point or the day symbolizing he has attained that moksha or liberation. So these are the few salient aspects when you look at Lord Shiva. Perhaps these are the reminders and association of thoughts you'd be able to use to align you in the spiritual path. Not merely an embellishment in your spiritual journey. Is not to put screensavers, to have I don't know. You don't have to. I don't know. But please, you have them. If it reminds you, put screensaver, put whatever you want, As long as it reminds you of this, please go ahead. So these are a few little insights into what Lord Shiva conveys. And I hope you all have a great Shivaratri tomorrow. Okay.